We've been getting a lot of questions lately about what it actually costs to go camping in a camper. So we thought we'd throw something together for you guys.
See you in a bit.
Hey folks, welcome back to Our Scamp Life. You guys asked for it. We got Sarah back in some more videos here. She's unbelievably embarrassed again, but we have a really bright light now. And so you won't be able to see her really red face. Mine will probably still shine through. So we wanted to break this down really into 3 segments to kind of give you guys an idea of the average cost for us anyways to take a weekend vacation. So it's, what we're talking about basically is a 2-night, 3-day stay, 150-mile round trip. And just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that. So the first thing we're going to talk about, because most people that are asking us this question, they want to know because they're considering buying a camper. And they want to know, is it really worth it to purchase a camper versus staying in a hotel? One thing I do really want to say is if you are absolutely in love with hotel stays and you have like a long laundry list of that and you absolutely hate camping in nature, then you might not want to even get a camper unless you're really going for, what's the word you always use in the fancy campers?
Glamping.
Glamping, yeah. Unless
Glamorous camping.
Unless you're doing that, then it might not be for you either way. But we wanted to do kind of a cost breakdown and kind of show you on average how much we figured out that we save when we go camping. We'll start off with the hotel costs. Basically, what we figured out, we got a piece of paper here with all of our list on it. We'll put it up on the screen while we're doing some talking so you guys can follow along with us. And by the way, if you have comments on this or if you think we're far off in left field on some of these prices, feel free to, or some of the cost on this anyways, feel free to put that down in the comment section. And if you're comfortable, share with other people. That's the reason we have this channel going, really, is just to share our experiences with you, but also for you guys to be able to share your experiences with us. So if you've got a different take on costs and what it costs you to do these things, feel free to put them down in the comment section. So, getting into it, a hotel cost, again, this is a 2-night, 3-day stay at the average hotel. And the average hotel for us has to include 2 things. What are they?
A swimming pool and free breakfast.
And the free breakfast is almost more important than the swimming pool.
Oh, we didn't rehearse that.
We're always looking for a hotel that has those 2 things. So obviously there are going to be motels and hotels that are going to be cheaper than this. But the odds of finding one were pretty slim for us that included both of those things. So our average cost per night came in at right about $120 times 2 nights. So that's like where we get the $240 from. Basically, on average, we were finding that they were, like $100 a night, basically? Mm-hmm. Give or take a little bit. Yeah. Right around $100 a night, plus tax. And then hotels have been doing this really weird thing lately of including a kind of a hidden fee where if you're more than 2 people in the hotel room, they charge you an extra fee for that, which is just ridiculous. So sometimes we thought we were getting a really good deal and we were paying like $140 or $150 right. a night for a hotel room, which was crazy. So $240 we figure on average right there. And then we take a look at our gas expenditures. And we were looking at about $3 a gallon. Right now it's not nearly this high. I think we're around $2.50 a gallon for gas here in Minnesota. But we were figuring about $3 a gallon and at about an average of 22 miles per gallon because our van averaged 18 or 19 miles per gallon. sometimes upwards of 20, depending on the weight ratio and weight that we have in the van and things like that.
Or who was driving.
I wasn't going to add that, but whatever. Yes, or who was driving, because Sarah could probably get like 90 miles per gallon out of the van. But if we took Sarah's car, we were getting upwards of 30 miles per gallon, so there was kind of a big difference. But we just kind of averaged it out because some people have SUVs, things like that. So right around 22 miles per gallon, we figured on a 150 mile trip, you're going to spend probably about $30 in gas on average. Then we had, again, we're still under the hotel cost here. We were looking at snacks and meal stops on the road. And what we mean by that is when we're going to stay in a hotel, we might take a cooler with us, but we're not going to take the kind of food with us that we're going to take with us when we go camping. So often we eat more meals on the road. We stop more often for snacks or pop or water, things like that, while we're on the road. So that's where we get that $70 average from there. Then there's an additional meal line there that says meals while at hotel, 2 meals per day. Because remember, we've got that continental breakfast that is a must-have for us. And so we figured at about an average of $30 per meal. Also keep in mind on this, we are only a 3-person family. So most families are 4 to 5 people, so you're obviously going to be spending more. But we figured some of our meals that we eat out may be fast food, while others are definitely going to be a nice sit-down steak, sort of a dinner. And so you're going to have more than $30 per meal or less than $30 per meal. But we wanted to average right around $30 a meal. And you got 4 meals for the weekend, so another $120. Then the next line item under hotel is entertainment cost. And for that, we put in there at $80 because when we're at a hotel, we're not going to spend the whole time in the pool or in the hotel room watching movies. We're going to want to go out and do stuff because we can do a lot of that stuff right at home. So we want to make sure that we're getting out to places like museums, or going out to a show, or even going to a really cool movie theater might be something that we actually do. So that cost is going to be more than what you'll see when we get into our camping stuff there. So at the end of the day, or at the end of the weekend, 2 nights, 3 days in a hotel is going to be right around $540. Now again, take that with a grain of salt, adjust it to your family, but just to give people kind of an idea. So moving over into column number 2 there, we've got camping in a camper. Again, we're still 2 nights, 3 days, so a Friday night, a Saturday night, and then a Sunday till 11 or 12, whenever they kick you out, sort of a thing. And that still that 150-mile round trip.
We have noticed that most campsites have a later checkout time. So if you don't want to leave that early, a campsite is nice because you don't usually have to leave at noon.
Yeah, isn't it like some of them are like 2?
Yeah, Minnesota state parks are 4, I think.
Oh, 4 o'clock. Oh, yeah. That's even, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot all about that. Yeah, so that's another perk, I guess, that we can add to this list. Most hotels that we stay out, it's a checkout of like 11 a.m.
Yeah, 11 or 12.
Yeah, 11 or 12.
Yeah.
So if you can get an extra 4 hours in the campground, you can really get some of your money worth. But anyway, so over in that second column there, our average campsite per night comes in at about $35. We've been to free campsites with family members and things like that. We hope to find free sites somewhere around Minnesota or other states as we begin to expand our horizons of travel. And then we've also been in campgrounds like private campgrounds that are about $50 per night, but those usually include a lot of amenities, a lot of extra things, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the average price that we spend is about $35 for per night for 2 nights. So we're at about $70 for our actual lodging there. And then the next line item under camping in a camper is cost of owning a camper, upkeep, payment of, and things like that. What we mean by that is most people are probably going to have a payment, a small payment on their camper, or maybe you set aside money for a few years and you save up for a camper. So either way, you've got kind of a little bit of a budget for a camper. and you have to add that into the final pricing when you're looking at stuff. If you have no payment on a camper, if you just walked in, pay cash, obviously this number is going to be lower, but we wanted to make sure we threw it in there. We're figuring about $120 a month on a like a payment, and then that times 12 months, and then divided by, we take an average of about 17 trips a year. Some of them might be 3 days, some of them might be more than that, and we could have divided it up by days, and I'm sure it's going to be a little bit cheaper than this. But then we also added about $10 per month onto that, just for overall running costs and upkeep of your camper. You're going to have things like just simply waxing it. If you've got an eggshell fiberglass style camper, you should wax it every year to keep it looking nice. You might have to replace sealant or windows or tires, or if you have electric brakes, LP tanks. There's all kinds of things that can come up, and it's just good to think about those things. So we're coming in right at about $90 per trip on that. And then the gas, again, we're still looking at $3 a gallon, but now we're pulling a camper behind us. So we're looking at about 14 miles per gallon instead of that 22, depending on what vehicle we're driving, simply because we're not going to be able to pull Scampy behind Sarah's Buick. Even though it's a nice Buick, it's just not going to handle it. So the gas there, you're going to spend a little bit more on gas, obviously, because you're getting less gas mileage. So that's about $50. And then your snack and meal stops on the road, because you have a full camper, you're going to already have a cooler worth of food. Hopefully you did a bunch of grocery shopping, or even if you stop at a grocery store on the way to your campsite, you're going to spend a lot less than going out to eat pretty much anywhere. So really it's only a few stops or one stop at a gas station, and so we figured about an average of about $20 there. One stop on the way down, one stop on the way back. But then we get to the meal total cost of all the food that you're eating, not only while driving, but also while you're at the campsite. And so on average, we'd spend about $80. We might actually, when we go to the grocery store, we might buy $100 or $120 worth of food, but some of that's coming back with us, because we're not going to eat a full pound of bacon in 2 breakfasts. We're not going to eat a full pound of lunch meat or a whole thing of cheese, that sort of a thing. So we're not spending that entire amount, because some of that gets to come back home with us. And then that entertainment cost being at $30 is just simply because if you're at a campground, there's usually stuff that people can do when you're there. Like, we like to go biking, hiking on the trails. If you're at a private campground, we've been to some of them that are, like $50 a night, but they've got a pool, and they've got pool tables and foosball tables, and one of them that we were at last year had like outdoor chess and checkers and shuffleboard and basketball and volleyball, amongst all the hiking trails and biking trails that it also offered too.
Total for camping in a camper per trip is about $340.
So we're saving a couple $100 there, which even if you only took 10 trips a year, that's a couple of $1,000 that you're saving right there just by having a camper, which is pretty cool to think about. So the next one we threw in there just because we used to be tent campers, and we just wanted to throw that in there as an option for maybe someone who's getting into camping for the first time. This might be an option for you if you don't have the money to spend on a camper. So again, same 2 night, 3 days, 150-mile round trip. Our campsite average, because usually with tent camping, you don't necessarily need electricity, although toward the end there, after I started using a CPAP machine, we did get the campsites that had electricity at them. But if you don't need that sort of a thing, or that battery that I built too, we realized that the campsite average was about $10 cheaper per night. So only about $25 per night for tent camping, so $50 there. And then there is a cost of owning a tent, upkeep, purchasing, things like that. And again, we're basing this over 17 trips per year. So if you don't already own a tent, you're going to have to go out probably and buy a tent. And so that might run you $100 or so, give or take. I think our tent was a fairly large tent. I wanted to be able to stand up and change and all that stuff, and Sarah did too. So we went for like the $100 tent, but nothing in particular. And then even once that tent is completely paid for, there's still going to be some upkeep and things like that with your tent, because we would spray our tent every year with like a sealer and just kind of do some upkeep to the tent to keep it nice and waterproof. So it only ends up being about $10 or less per trip there. And then once again with the gas, we're still at $3 a gallon, and we're back up to that 22 miles per gallon because you're not towing anything, and you can take a much smaller vehicle generally. So you've got, just $30 there again. Snacks and meal stops is going to be the same as camping in a camper, because you're essentially doing the same thing. You're just not having a camper, but you can still have your coolers and all that stuff. And then the meal cost of all the food eaten while driving in at or around the campsite, same deal as being in a camper again, because it's essentially the same thing. You're going to be grilling, you're going to be doing things like that. So we're in at about $80. And I do want to say with the food, if you're not somebody who likes to cook or is comfortable with cooking, I personally love to cook, and I think cooking outside is just something so special. So I really enjoy it. But if that's not something that you necessarily enjoy, your cost of eating, your cost of meals might go back over to that hotel cost. If you're staying at a hotel, if you're going to be eating out all the time, it might go back over there. So just something to think about. Entertainment costs then right below that is, of course, about the same because you're still in a campground. So if your total cost of staying in a campground in a tent for the same 2 night, 3 days is going to be about $220. Anything you want to add on that, babe?
When considering what it costs to camp in a tent, don't forget about air mattresses.
Sleeping bags or blankets,
Right.
Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Those can add up.
real fast.
They're pricey.
And I will say this, if you're going to be in a tent, get a good air mattress. We cheaped out for the first, 3 air mattresses we bought, and you basically, it's either like laying on a waterbed and you fling one another off, or you end up on the ground by the next morning because all the air has been let out of it throughout the night. So buy a good air mattress. But we really hope that this video helps you guys out. Helps you make a decision as to what is going to be best for you and your family. Because at the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to. What's going to be best for you guys and your family. And again, take these prices and this money and stuff like that we've been talking about, take it with a grain of salt. We're a family of 3, and so we know that we don't normally spend as much as most people on a vacation. And we're also very frugal people. And so some people are really surprised by what we spend. But maybe you're really surprised because we spend more than you ever thought it would be to go camping or stay in a hotel. And so, like I said, take it all with a grain of salt. But thank you guys so much for subscribing to our channel. It's been such a joy just talking to you guys and seeing what's going on in your lives and where you guys are from around the country. And so if you've got comments, or if there's videos that you'd like to know more things about, or videos that we can make to help inform you guys a little bit more about camping or Scamp campers in general, put it in the comment section down below. And if you're liking what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We love you guys. God bless.